Welcome back to Between the Frames. My name is Captain McKay. Nice to see you again. It's been an interesting couple of months. We've had quite a bit of new action figures and new things happening here. We're going to get to as much of that as I can, or as much of it is relevant to me and this channel and everything. But man, I gotta tell you, life's been interesting lately. Last couple of months have been interesting. Been traveling, been kind of re-experiencing some old things that I didn't think I was gonna ever really come across again, at least not in such a way as I have. We'll talk about all that. But first, we got to talk about the last episode. Now, as you may remember, the last episode, I asked a question at the top about the episode length. I'm like, is, pushing 30, 40 minutes. The last episode was like an hour. Are we getting like a little too long in the tooth here? Is that, do people care? More often than not, the feedback that I got from most of the viewers of that video was like, we can just put it on, and if we don't finish it, we can just put it on again tomorrow, whatever. Like, who cares? Just do whatever. So, I mean, great. That's good feedback to have, so I, can continue to make stuff. And, I just want to be respectful of people's time. And as long as people are entertained here, that's really all I can ask. But we got to talk about something major that's happened over the course of my life in the past couple of months. That something is Ja Rule-a-thon 2024. What is Ja Rule-a-thon? Well, if you've been following me on Instagram, you know that there's a manager at my job just loves to play Ja Rule, like constantly. We're getting like unfiltered, unedited playlists, just wall-to-wall Ja Rule. It's something else. I'd like to present it to you now. You can skip to this time code if you're not interested, but I really am curious as to what is going on in this world where this is what my manager is doing. It's baffling to me. And as I mentioned, this was all shot for Instagram, so like all these videos are going to be vertical. Sorry about that. But I mean, come on. Watching vertical videos on your phone is the way that the gods intended for us to consume our media. So, get with the times. Anyway, here's Ja Rule-a-thon. Let's see what you think. Ja Rule-a-thon 2024 continues. In case you thought I was kidding, no, this is it's relentless. There's just been so much Ja Rule over the past couple of days. Like, I think even back during like his peak, like Fast and the Furious 1 era, I don't think anyone was listening to Ja Rule even this much back then. I don't even think Ja Rule was enjoying this much Ja Rule back then. This is quite a phenomenon that I've discovered pretty recently in the warehouse, and I was just kind of like, has this been going on longer than I realized? And I find it sneaking in more and more regularly now. Day 2. Also, how do you mess that up, Ja Rule? You're in Fast and the Furious Part 1. Now, granted, it didn't become the huge franchise that we know now, but you're up there with Jordana Brewster and Michelle Rodriguez, Big Vin. You're all doing your thing. How do you decide you're too important to be in the sequel unless they pay you a lot more? And now Ludacris, guess what? He's been in all of them. Fast 2, all the way up through like the 48th one or whatever they're on now. And you know what? They're better movies. Ja Rule, gotta be kicking yourself, dude. But at least you got a warehouse in Albany blasting your music nonstop constantly. Hey, way to go, bud. So sad news. The radio is not even on today at the workplace. So I cannot update anybody on the status of Ja Rule-a-thon 2024, and I know that's heartbreaking. You might be asking yourself, well, why are you even bothering to post something like this if there's nothing to even talk about? Great question. Thank you for asking. It's because a lot of people are pretty invested in this, turns out. Like, I had a lot of people reaching out being like, yeah, I got to know what happens with this Ja Rule if it keeps going on all week. Well, today they didn't even turn the radio on. I'm sure if they had, we'd probably be, blessed with Ja Rule a little bit. He'd be, putting it on us, as he likes to say. But, so far, nothing. I was even ready to hit a few fresh pieces of Ja Rule trivia, because I had to do some research, because I was like, well, if I make this video, I got to have something, right? But yeah, that's where we're at right now. I'm hoping, there's still hope. They might just throw the radio on right now, and like Ja Rule might just sneak right back in there, and, I'll have something good to talk about in a few minutes. I don't know. I just don't know. Too many hopes and dreams might get dashed if I put that out to the universe like this. But there's always hope, again for tomorrow. More Ja Rule. Here's hoping. All right, day 4, Ja Rule-a-thon. I know after yesterday, a lot of people were let down and disappointed that, we didn't have the radio on. all morning this morning too, same story. Radio wasn't on. I thought, has our run come to an end? You know, so many people were so let down by this. But then I came back from lunch and I turned an ear ever so slightly towards New York City, and I thought, I hear the faint sound of Tim's. Yeah, we're back, baby. We're back, baby. Murder Inc. is back in business, and I have you to thank. I know so many of you who are watching this ridiculous series put your hands to the air and just donated your energy, really, so that Ja Rule could find his way back home to me, to our warehouse here. And don't think I was kidding around about that Ja Rule trivia I was planning yesterday. He was in some pretty bad movies, I think, after Fast and the Furious. He decided he was going to follow in the footsteps of, you know, other actors turned rappers, probably like your LL Cool J's and your Ice-T's. Probably wanted to be like Will Smith, probably the most famous one out of all of them, I guess. And he was in a terrible movie called Wrong Side of Town. You could be fooled into thinking that it was a Batista, like Dave Batista of Guardians of the Galaxy fame vehicle. But no, this is a Rob Van Dam movie, who's another pro wrestler, if you're not aware, but he's also a way less good actor. I think Batista shoots Ja Rule in that movie. I don't remember. I'm gonna never probably watch it again. It's terrible. But there's your bit of Ja Rule trivia. But we're not gonna just leave you there. Come on, you waited all this time. I got so excited when I heard, you know, Ja Rule blessing us again over the speakers that I got on the machine just so I could get up closer to the speakers. Now the sad news is tomorrow I don't know if I'll be here too late in the day for them to have the radio on, and I don't want to miss out, but I also don't want to leave you hanging. So I took another trip up to the speakers so I could catch them one last time. Thank you for following this nonsense. I don't know what next week is going to bring. I can only hope. I mean, this whole week I went from just being kind of like baffled by how much Ja Rule I was listening to genuinely being excited about it now. So, you know, I'm glad I could provide you with some of this journey, that you can join me along with this and see what is happening here, because most times I don't even know. All right, who loves you? You want to know what probably the most ironic thing about all that is that it's turned me into like an unironic appreciator of Ja Rule. I think just being so bombarded with it so constantly, I catch myself singing Ja Rule songs like when I'm just not doing anything, like I'm just here doing, and it's a lot, and I don't know if I like it, but I'll take it. It's one of those happens as it gets older, I think. You just kind of appreciate things that you didn't really care for when you were younger. So like Ja Rule would have been in that category for me. I was just never much of a hip hop rap guy at that age, and now I'm looking back on it, I'm like, hey, you know, pretty good. Maybe I should go back and listen to other stuff that I didn't care for back then. I probably like it now. Except for Dave Matthews, man. It's still not gonna happen for that guy. Got a couple things up on the Patreon over the past couple of months. These people know all about it, don't you? Yeah, that's right. Obviously there was a episode of Tales from Apartment 9, our podcast that me and Mountain Man do, which is a lot of fun. We talk about movies, wild guys watch movies, and we talk about a lot of other stuff too, so check it out if you want. Got another episode coming up fairly soon, I would think, hopefully within the next week. I want to get it recorded. But speaking of Mountain Man, you haven't lived until you've seen Getting to the Root of Beer. Now this is all Mountain Man's idea. He created this idea where he's just gonna make a root beer show. I was like, I'm on board. That sounds good, and I think it's got legs. And you know, convincing Mountain Man to do stuff is not always easy, but we got him. We got him, and I think, honestly, it's probably one of the best things on that Patreon right now. So if you back at any level, you'll be able to watch that. We got to do more episodes. We got some things planned, so hopefully, you know, we get around to that pretty soon. I've also been doing some stop motion stuff, little by little here and there, so there were little clips. I can't remember if I released them on Instagram yet or not. I got to finish one or two of them, but, you know, cool stuff, I think. And I've been working on a longer form animation project that some of you in the Patreon might know about. But that should be, hopefully, if I can get myself motivated and get this room a little bit cleaned up, I can get that taken care of and finished relatively shortly. I don't know, let's see what kind of time I got. Been traveling a lot too. Went to Des Moines, as I may have mentioned on a previous video, but last week, as I record this, I went to California. I mean, this is the second time I've been to California by sail yet. So like I say, I went once before for work. It's just a work trip, so I didn't really have time to like do much exploring or sightseeing or anything. Did have time to eat lots of steak though. Anytime work is paying for my food for me to travel, I'm gonna get all the way up to the amount of money that they let me spend. And you better believe I'm taking full advantage of it. I ate so much steak. It was amazing. But turns out I'm not safe from buying figures or toys or any of it. Like, even the airport's trying to get me. So they got an entire Lego store, like right in the terminal over there. It's like, as soon as I stepped out of the restaurant I was in, I'm just like, what? And it's like all the full-size sets too. I'm like, who's buying a $400 Batcave and then bringing it on a plane with them? Like, who's buying Lego sets and then, you know, just like flying with them? One guy did. I found him. I guess there is enough of a market for it here. I would have never thought, but you know, then again, what do I know? If I was smart, I'd franchise out a store and put it right in the airport. But I'm not smart. Yeah, they even had like a little Toys R Us too in that airport, which is wild. I did get some footage of it, but it was nothing special. Honestly, it was weird. It was just kind of more Lego sets, which I thought was unusual. Like, they already got that market cornered. What are you doing, Toys R Us? But then there was like just kind of little toys for like kids to probably play with on a plane, just like little kind of toddler type stuff. Nothing great, no figures really, so, you know, that's kind of a bust, but thankfully I didn't have to spend money in the airport. As for the travels themselves, it saddens me to report that there was no BFG within 200 miles of where I was, so did not get to experience the grill the way that I would have liked. But silver lining, the room, there was a hairdryer. That's right, we were making good work of that. Looking sweet. Anyway, one of the reasons why it's taken me so long to like do this episode is because I've been in here rearranging this room a little bit, which we'll get into. I'll show some of the different like displays and stuff that I've changed around because you know, there's a few different things. And plus, I've still been getting some new stuff in, like I mean, just, you know, Amazon packages, Big Bad Toy Store, and that kind of stuff. So this came with a action figure that I got from like Hobby Link Japan. It was a Dragon Ball figure, and then they send me this with it, and I don't know, man. Like, I'm almost afraid to have this like laying around because this is, if I have this sitting around the apartment, people are going to look at this and think I'm like, you know, one of those action figure collectors, and I can't have that on my conscience. Did get a package today from Burnout Inc., and it does have like some substantial things in it that I'm not going to show because I might surprise people on the channel with those at some point, using them in a project or something. But this, I can definitely show. This is Wizard, an old magazine from 2008, July 2008, which is kind of awesome because I was actually reading Ultimate X-Men in July 2008. Wasn't very good at that time. In fact, the Ultimate Universe was kind of falling apart at that time. And in July 2008, so was my life. So, you know, this will be good to revisit and see how far we've come. I mean, Wolverine's kind of a big deal right now in the movie with Deadpool. Pretty good movie. I liked it. And then he threw this in there. What is this, you may ask? Well, why don't you just ask Ryu? Because look at him printed right on there. Pretty good, right? That's right. Got that official Street Fighter 4 Ryu headband, 20th anniversary, officially licensed. And you know I'm an officially licensed kind of guy, so you already know what's going to happen here. So these intros are getting longer and longer, and I can definitely understand that, you know, people are kind of like, come on, let me get into the figures. I honestly totally forgot that this episode wasn't already done and released. I mean, I was in the middle of my Ja Rule dance party when I remembered. Oh, crap, I gotta finish between the frames. So with that all said and done, let's finally get into talking about some figures. What do you say? The new Shao Kahn, Mortal Kombat 9. Let's get a look at this guy. He's a beast. Just look at the size of this throne. Like this, I don't even have the words to describe just how enormous this thing is. Like, I knew it was going to be much bigger than the previous one, the classic one, but I mean, to put it in perspective, this is just like insane. Like, that skull thing is probably the size of an actual human skull. So if you want a little compare and contrast between the new and the old Shao Kahn, this is the classic MK2, MK3 one, and then this is the MK9 one. Insane. So if you get them side by side, height-wise, scale-wise, like size is very comparable between the two. Like, they're very, very similar in terms of like how they, you know, just look, how they stand out on your shelf and everything. I will say the new one has a lot more sculpted, like musculature details and stuff like that. It looks like they improved the body proportions a lot too. So like, something that I have noticed about some of these newer Storm Collectibles figures is that when you look back at the older versions of these characters, like, the newer ones kind of make me look at the older ones a little more critically. Like, I would have told you the Shao Kahn is a perfect figure until I got this one. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, his proportions are a little bit tanky. Like, he's really wide in the upper body, his shoulders and everything like that. And that's a little wider than he would have been in the game. But honestly, like, that's fine. Like, it's an action figure and it's just them kind of having their interpretation of it. But comparing the body type to this new one, I'm like, this one is just much more of a, like, realistic, I guess, realistic looking version of Shao Kahn. And I think they did a really, really great job. He's got all the detailing and stuff on his armor too, like his gauntlets and, you know, the leg armor pieces and stuff that are a part of the leg. So like when you move them, they move too. The helmet is removable on this one as well, just like the old one, so that's what you're looking at. But the helmet fits on there too, really nice and snug, so it does look great on the figure, and that's, honestly, that's something I'm going to keep on there, because that's what Shao Kahn looks like. You can swap the hands on and off, and the alternate heads really easily. This is a screaming, angry face, and the helmet fits on there just fine too. This is one of his accessories, is the spear that he has. This is like the, you know, kind of the energy spear that he just forms and throws. Because he just pulls his weapons out of thin air and then just throws them at you because he's a boss, and you get to the end of the game and he starts doing this. It's frustrating. It's a freaking cheater. And he also comes with just a standard regular version of the spear, not an energy one. This is just like a silvery color. They're basically, as far as I can tell, they're identical. One is just see-through green and the other is, you know, obviously silver. Once again, he's got the pointing finger hands too for taunting his opponents, telling them they suck. And this is a third head sculpt with like kind of gridded teeth. So yeah, and once again, the helmet fits on there nicely. He basically comes with a lot of the same hands and poses and accessories as the original Shao Kahn, just, you know, better. The original Shao Kahn actually didn't come with spears, I don't think, but he did come with his hammer. And of course, this new version also comes with his hammer. It's actually a different hammer than the one that came with the original figure, so you will get, you know, two different accessories by the time you're all said and done, which is kind of cool. I like the Mortal Kombat dragon logos on there, and, you know, he looks great holding it, as he would. This is his signature after all. The throne itself is awesome too. It's like it's a lightweight kind of hollow plastic. The base it just plugs into, which is awesome. It's got these like skulls on it. These are just kind of decorative, but they're all hanging by these chains. You got some like loose chains here that you can basically like, you can run them through here, or you can just lay them on the ground, do whatever you want with them. Up top you've got like these horns that kind of plug into the skull thing, so by the time you're all said and done, you got this real like demonic looking throne that he just sits in. Blood stains all over the place. Yeah, man, I really like this a lot. Moving on from Shao Kahn, now we got Nightwolf, MK3 classic style. This figure is really nice. He's actually one of the larger human characters. I didn't realize that until I kind of had him out and was like comparing and contrasting him with like some average size like human Mortal Kombat figures. He's significantly taller, which is interesting. I don't remember if he's like supposed to be much taller in the games or not, but it doesn't bother me. A little variety in my collection. So one of his accessories he has is this like, you know, energy tomahawk that he comes with, and he's actually got 4 different head sculpts. Here's like a gridded teeth one. Here's a different gridded teeth expression that are slightly different if you look at them. Like this, the mouth is a little bit more clenched, and this one is a little bit more wide. Not sure exactly why they included 2 very similar heads like that, but I don't mind it. I mean, it's more stuff for me, so that's cool. And obviously he just has a regular like metal version of his tomahawk, which I'm not sure if like maybe this is meant to be like wood and they just didn't paint it. That'd be weird for Storm, because normally they're pretty on point with the details, but it looks like there's like wood grain sculpted in here, so I don't know. Either way, it's a nice accessory. And here we've got kind of a screaming head, as well as his electrical like blast effect that you can clip right to the end of his axe, which is actually really cool. So you can have him just like doing one of his moves, or you know, you can have it hoisted above his head like that and have the lightning coming down like kind of his victory animation pose. Like this, really nice. And then here's kind of his default stern kind of regular expression, and probably my favorite accessory out of this whole set, which is the bow and arrow. It's 2 separate pieces, and you can see that there's a separate, like a special kind of hand for like drawing back the arrow. You can actually put the back end of the arrow, which, you know, all this is just made up of like energy and stuff obviously, but like you can put the back end of the arrow kind of in between the notch in his fingers, and that holds it, and you know, you can kind of rest the front end of it on here. And yeah, man, I really like the way this looks. This is definitely my favorite of the accessories that he comes with. So here he is with the MK11 Nightwolf from McFarlane, and you can see he's clearly much bigger. And McFarlane Toys made theirs pretty similarly scaled to Storm. It wasn't like identical, but you could kind of swap characters in and out of each other's like displays, and you know, fill in gaps in your collection if you wanted to with other lines, which I'm going to end up having to do if the news of Storm Collectibles not making Mortal Kombat figures anymore is in fact going to happen. That's sad. But yeah, you can see here this version of Nightwolf is significantly smaller, and he's obviously designed much different. This is much more classic, whereas this is, you know, MK11 based on how he looked in that game. And since we got Daddy Mac figures out, might as well show Shao Kahn too. He's significantly smaller. The MK11 McFarlane version is obviously like just much smaller than the MK9 Storm Collectibles version. Once again, you're paying way less for the McFarlane figures. There's a lot of detail on here sculpt-wise that just never got painted, so it's kind of lost in translation. But, you know, on the other hand, the figure was 20 bucks. Compared to the Storm figure, which was significantly more costly, but it also comes with way more and is obviously like a much higher end figure. I'm not sitting here like ripping the McFarlane apart or anything, but, you know, it's a very, very different figure, and that's pretty much the best I can say. Here he is with two of his buddies from Mortal Kombat 3, the original version of the game. That's MK3 version of Kano and Sector. And you can see, yeah, Nightwolf is a little taller than these guys. Again, I'm not sure if there's precedent for that in the game or if he was meant to always be a little taller. I always got the impression he was just an average sized guy, but, you know, like I said, not bothering me at all. He actually looks really cool with these guys. And last but not least, as far as Mortal Kombat goes, we got the MKX version of Goro. Now, MKX featured some of my least favorite character designs out of any of the new games. It just, I don't know, the characters in that game were just really all kind of ugly and like really, I don't know, like simultaneously saturated and yet dull at the same time. I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, the art style of that game never really sat with me all that much. The designs themselves were okay, but like just the character models I think I had issues with. But Storm did a great job on this Goro. So he doesn't come with anything except for hands and alternate faces, which is fine. He actually comes with totally different sets of hands for each arms. So you'll notice that his lower arms are significantly smaller than his upper arms. That's probably, I can't remember specifically if that's how he was designed in the game. So the hands on the upper arms all have these kind of like strap things, whereas the lower ones do not. So that's a good indicator of like which hands are supposed to go on which arms. So here he is next to the first release of Goro from the original like Mortal Kombat 1. That's going to be really confusing. So here he is with the first release of Goro from the original Mortal Kombat 1992 design. And man, I love this figure. I animated this figure. Famously, it has all these issues with its ankles. Zombie will tell you all about it. I still just love this classic design for Goro. But that said, just like I was talking about with Shao Kahn, the newer figure just is much, much better in pretty much every way, including ankle articulation. Look at that. You got a swivel at the ankle, you got a little up and down, and you even got a little bit of a rocker in there, which is going to help him hit some of these deep, you know, fighting stances. The original Goro couldn't do that. Now, when they made Kintaro, they improved upon that design a lot, and Kintaro can do all this, but now we finally got a Goro that can do more than just kind of stand straight up. Here's one of his alternate heads, just a very angry, shouting head sculpt. Looks great, and all the heads actually have the ponytail on them, so it's not like the other figure where you have to like kind of swap them, and they all do you know, swivel at the base too, so if you kind of want his ponytail looking like a little more windswept, you can do that. Something else kind of cool about this figure, this necklace is just kind of sitting here. It's not like sculpted to it, so if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. He's got like all the scales and stuff on his back too, so yeah, really showing that Shao Kahn lineage right there. And then his third head sculpt is just kind of like a gritted teeth, you know, stern expression, I guess. I would like to have seen, like, instead of maybe this head, or, you know, like, honestly, he just kind of has degrees of anger, which is fine. That does definitely fit Goro. But I would have kind of preferred maybe if we swap one of these out with, like, a smiling face. Like, I don't know, like he knows he's about to, like, win a fight or something. Like, just show that confidence. He's a very arrogant character. So, like, it would have been cool to kind of have something that reflected that. But, like I said, overall, that's just a minor nitpick. I think this is great. So as far as Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat goes, right now what's been happening lately is people have been commenting on the fact that Storm's official website doesn't have Mortal Kombat listed as a property anymore, and supposedly like the licensing either lapsed or they're done licensing it or whatever, so I'm not entirely sure. There was a lot of prototypes of figures over the years that have been shown in various degrees of completion that I would have liked to have seen. You know, we've seen Melina, Kitana. There was a brief little glimpse of a Johnny Cage figure. There was Cabal, who was like basically all the way prototyped. There was a MKX Scorpion that was shown years and years ago. There was a, something else, what am I missing? There was like a movie, Sub-Zero, from the movie a couple of years ago that, you know, who knows if we're ever going to see that. They teased Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat, the original game, so I would have loved to have seen that. You know, I love that design. We never got Sonya, we never got Jax. You know, I would have liked to have seen 2 versions of Jax, one from MK2 and then one from MK3 with the metal arms, you know? So right now, I don't know what's going on with this license. I've heard a number of different things from people. They're supposedly maybe going to renegotiate in June or whatever, so hopefully they can and they can come to terms and they can continue making this line, because I've said before, this Storm Collectibles Mortal Kombat line is my favorite figure line going right now. Like, NECA TMNT is probably number 2. I mean, it's like probably tied, honestly, at this point. But, like, nobody's doing Mortal Kombat, really. I mean, we saw McFarlane do some, and, you know, he's got a few great figures in there, but he's also got a lot that aren't so great. And that's just kind of the nature of what you get from McFarlane. Storm has very, very few misses in this Mortal Kombat series. Even the ones that I would tell you maybe aren't necessarily worth having are just ones that were worth having at one point, but now there's a newer version that just does something better. So for example, like either of these two, Shao Kahn and Goro, you really don't need the original versions if you have these, and these are way more accessible and way more cost efficient at this point. So, you know, unless you really, really love those original classic designs, which I do, but, you know, save yourself a lot of money. And, you know, Shao Kahn honestly doesn't look a ton different from how he looked in the old games. He's got some different flourishes, but for the most part, he's very similar. Goro, there's a little bit more to him, but honestly, like, all of this armor and stuff is loose fitting, which means if you can pop the feet and the hands and stuff, well, the hands come off anyway, but if you can pop the feet off, you can probably get all of this stuff off of him and then be left with a Goro just in black trunks. And that's up to you. Like, I mean, any good customizer will be able to find him a belt and a sash and like some leg wraps and whatever, and you can have basically a classic looking Goro from this figure if you just want to put in a little work. But yeah, I mean, if this truly is the end of the line, I'll be sad. I do have one more pre-order that I haven't gotten yet, and that's going to be for classic Shiva. So I will get one more MK3 character at the very least, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, if it's the end of an era, it was a good run. I'm happy I got as many figures as I did. And, you know, I've gotten to animate with them and stuff too, and I look forward to doing some more. That's right, there's the Mezco Turtles. I just did a whole big long video on them. If you haven't seen that, feel free to check it out. But I do like this set quite a lot. It's definitely one of those things where, like, as collectors, you know, we always love accessories and add-ons and props and all the different stuff that comes with all of our, you know, our favorite little figures and stuff. But Mezco has taken it, like, maybe, I dare say, a step too far, where I'm just like, they've almost done too much. It's so much stuff, and like, I had to like put it all in color-coded boxes that you see back here. It was a whole thing. But I mean, everything is great, it's just a lot. But yeah, great set. And speaking of turtles, never did get to show this off on camera, but this is the Turtle Van from NECA. This is the cartoon version. I pre-ordered this back when they first showed it, and it came out, I want to say the end of last year, sometime, maybe mid to late last year. It was like October or November, something like that. I don't remember, but it's been a while. But yeah, this thing's a lot of fun. I mean, it's big. The reason why I actually pre-ordered this one is because this, at the time, was the smallest one available. There was the Super 7 one also, which is like gigantic, even compared to this. And then there was also a third-party one, which was quite a bit larger than this. But I went with this one because, like I said, small, compact, and you know, it kind of matches with the cartoon aesthetic of, you know, the figures that I kind of predominantly have. So it's got like actual like clear plastic for like the windshield and the car windows and stuff. You can actually open the doors, although I would be careful because they're only on like one little hinge, as you might see. So I brought the light over to give you a better look, but yeah, it's like only one little hinge in there. And then I think it's the same for these, well, this one is actually one of the pull down ones. So like this one will actually pull down like forward. So you can see this actually pulls down. It's got like a little piece in here where you can kind of replace this with like a different panel, basically, I guess. Right now it just looks like the folded up gun, but yeah, you can see I already got the turtles inside. If I do have one minor critique besides the you know, the hinges being very thin and kind of small, I would say that I wish these cannons could be faced like all the way forward. Right now these are faced as forward as they'll go. I mean, you can face them upwards and that's fine, but to put them straight forward doesn't work. However, they do just pop off, so if you don't want them, you don't have to have them. So on this side you get this panel that kind of like comes down like almost like a ramp, and then this top part swings out like a door. You can see there's peg holes in there, and that's because there's a chair that connects to that with like a seat, and you can have like a giant gun facing forward. which is cool. I actually just still have it in the box. I didn't really mess with it too much. I attached it once just to see what it looked like, and it's cool, but I don't leave it on for too long because I fear that like having too much weight on this, you know, like I said, with the one hinge might be too much for this door. So, you know, I like to just keep that off, but it is, you know, definitely an option you have. And this door opens too, which is cool. The whole top basically completely comes off, so you got this piece that comes off here, and that way you can stick figures inside like the front seat. So like I had Raphael like kind of riding shotgun, navigating, and you know, it's just kind of easier than like popping the door open to get him in there. And then I had this April O'Neil driving. Now this is actually the first April O'Neil from the 2-pack, but I used one of the heads from the recent redo of April, like the ultimate version, whatever it is, because I definitely prefer those heads over the original one. So for now, this is kind of just my like, you know, van driver April. Looks good with the newer head on it though. I actually really much prefer that. And there you go, riding dirty. So in addition to like the front part of the top of the van coming off, these two little tabs here split open, just like kind of the beginning of the cartoon, if you remember. So you'll be able to like just fit figures in and out of there. So if you don't want to use the doors, you can just pop them in the top, and that's definitely something you could do. You'll notice these panel things here, not these panels I guess, but these little tiny pieces, they're actually raised up, and I think they plug in. The reason I'm saying this is because this one's not quite fitting correctly. So I did actually pop this off just to see what was going on, and you might be able to see in the top there, maybe it says L, and that one also says L, so I feel like I was supposed to get an R piece. I did actually reach out to NECA about this as far as like customer service and stuff goes, and they were like, okay, when we get spare like parts and pieces and stuff, like replacement kind of stuff, we'll be able to get that part out to you. And so, moment of truth, got the replacement part right here. That one says R right on it, so I think we're gonna be in great shape. Oh yeah, boom. Now it's totally flush, not raised up. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. Good customer service, NECA. Thank you very much. So if anybody got two R pieces and you need the L piece, let me know and I'll just put it right in this envelope and I'll send it to you. Swinging around the back, you got these two doors that open up. Sometimes you gotta pop them open from the inside, I guess, because they're gonna be a little stubborn. And once again, you can kind of see like on the inside of the van, there's like some details and stuff too. We'll get a closer look at all that. So on the inside, you actually do have details too. Like you got computer terminals and different panels and things like that. And on the other side, you can see kind of the same thing. Just a lot of cool little detail stuff in here that you wouldn't even necessarily notice unless you had the thing pulled open. I definitely wanted to bring attention to this wall too. Now this is the wall that's in between like the driver's area and the back part of the van. But this can actually be swapped out with a couple different pieces. So like if you don't want the full wall there, if you want just like a bottom half so that you can still see like over and in like through the windshield and stuff, you can actually put a different piece in there and it will replace and sit flush and it'll look nice. But for now I like this one, kind of the battle station thing where you got the ladder that can lead up to the, you know, the hatch on the top and all this other stuff. Plus I like little like computer panels and different designs and bombs they got down in the bottom corner and stuff. Just a lot of really cool stuff. So that's with that panel removed. You can see what I mean. It's just kind of a clear view straight through to the front of the van. It's cool. You can see there's little peg holes there. There's a different piece that plugs in. So there's kind of the replacement piece. Looks like, I don't know, a little bit more tech, you know, battle ready. I still think my favorite one is that one there. But it is cool to have the options and be able to see like the whole way up through the front of the van and everything. So that's what it looks like when you have the cannon with the seat and everything set up there. You got some bombs underneath. It's all really cool looking, but like I said, I just don't trust that much weight hanging off of that one hinge for too long. But I definitely wanted to show you what it looks like when it's all together. Like the turtle fits on there good. It's, you know, you can take the bottom parts of these belts off and strap them across his chest there. So he's on there nice and snug. He can hold on to the controls and everything. So like it looks great. My thing, if I was to display this, I'd probably put something underneath it just to, you know, give myself that little extra peace of mind. But, you know, besides that, it's just really cool. It's a kind of evocative of like the Playmates toy where like, you know, that side would spring out and you'd have the turtle sitting in the thing with the cannon already. This doesn't spring out obviously, but it's a nice little throwback either way. So overall, I'm really happy with this purchase. The van, obviously, like, you know, like I said, it's big, so trying to find space for it. Right now, the space for it has been like the floor in front of my shelf because I just can't, you know, figure out what else to do with it at the moment. But for now, you know, I've got that older version of April in there. I've got the original 4 turtles in there from like the 2 packs. and they all look great. They all fit nicely in there, so you'll be able to like stash a bunch of figures in there if you want to just, you know, have them go for a joyride. Oh, I almost forgot one of the coolest selling points. There's a switch underneath the van that lets you put the headlights on. Yeah, pretty nice. And you can see as well the taillights are on too, so that's kind of a cool little added feature that I don't think was originally advertised with this, but they just decided to add a little extra, I suppose. So yeah, long story short, I'm very happy with my purchase here. Like I said before, this is one of several vans that was available all around the same time. I picked this one because it was, you know, the smallest and the least expensive, and you know, it captures everything I wanted to capture. The Super 7 one, like I said, is gorgeous, and I've been tempted by that one also since, you know, seeing reviews and stuff since it came out. It looks really great. And even that Underground Arsenal third-party one looks like it has a lot it can offer as well. But I'm running out of space here, so I gotta control myself a little bit. So in the meantime, this is gonna be my turtle van, and like I said, apart from like the hinges on the doors and, oh god, he's falling. So in the meantime, this is gonna be my turtle van, and apart from, like I said, the hinges on the doors and these guns like not facing all the way forward, those are my only two like little gripes about it. Overall, I think this is great, and I'm happy to have it. Professor Jordon Perry. This is from TMNT 2, The Secret of the Ooze. This is the NECA 2-pack that was released. You got kind of the regular laboratory version, and then you got the version from when he's like on the, I think it's a construction site. So both these figures look great. I mean, you can combine, like you can swap the heads and everything too. So if you just kind of want this head on this body, you could do that. This hat is removable, the hard hat. So you can take that off. He comes with a bunch of like lab accessories and stuff too. So he's got like little beakers and, you know, little equipment and stuff. He's got a TCRI ooze canister. I'm sorry, TGRI. It's the movie version. Yeah, so it's basically really cool. He's got like a bunch of little stuff that you would see in the scenes where he's like either helping the turtles to come up with stuff to stop Tokka and Rahzar, or when he's like captive by Shredder and he's, you know, kind of being forced to create Tokka and Rahzar. The thing I always get impressed with NECA is like their ability to just make figures of basically just some guy and have them be really, really good. Like when I was a kid, I watched Secret of the Ooze all the time because that was the movie that had the big monsters. It was kind of more kid-friendly, I guess. It was more in line with what the cartoon was doing at the time. And, you know, certainly the first movie was a little bit more serious in its tone. And while I liked the first movie as a kid, I watched the second one way more. But I couldn't tell you what this guy's name was. You know, he was just that scientist guy that helps Shredder and then ends up helping the Turtles. That's what it is, you know? I probably would have told you it was Baxter Stockman if you were to ask me, you know, as a kid. I don't know. But yeah, these are really cool. I like these guys. So I had to rearrange a bunch of the turtle shelves because, you know, some stuff was falling over and there was some figures that just, you know, I kind of wanted to switch out of the displays, see what's what. Over here, I still kind of got like the NECA, like Mirage stuff set up. For the most part, it's just some villains and side supporting characters and stuff. I'd like to do kind of a better display for those at some point, but there's a lot. Got the Super 7, just the 4 regular turtles. They got the 2003 ones they just put up for pre-order. Those look great, and you already know I pre-ordered those because 2003 is kind of like overlooked as far as turtle collectibles go. But I still like these a lot though. Shelf down here with like some turtle variants. You got the Space Raph and the Surfer Mikey, Samurai Leo. That Basketball Don I did a stop motion of recently. He was playing some ball with Slash. I actually really like how that turned out. Then you got like Ray Fillet in the back, Splinter up front. And down here you got a couple more. You got Casey, Mondo, Ace Duck. Who else is in there? Looks like NECA Rat King and the Last Ronin figures. And then just kind of like a hodgepodge of like cartoon and Mirage characters down there. So this one's all over the place, this shelf. But the main Toon Turtles display is moved around a little bit. Not much changed with the disguised turtles. They're still just in the pizzeria, just, you know, kind of doing their thing while Leonardo sees something going on outside. But what's he got going on out here? Now this was originally on the lower shelf. Let me get the light looking a little bit better here. So this was originally on the street down below when I had Bebop and Rocksteady beating up the fake Crooked Ninja Turtle gang. And they didn't realize they weren't the Turtles because these guys are morons, and I got crying yelling at them. So that just made its way up to the top from the bottom because I wanted to use the bottom for some different characters. Dimension X, basically the same. It's still the Neutrinos, but inside the Technodrome now I got Ground Chuck and Dirtbag and a bunch of the Foot Soldiers, kind of watching April O'Neil was apparently just mutating into a cat. I got Shredder with, you know, the ooze vial right there, just, you know, kind of reaping what he's sown here. So April's tearing through all these foot soldiers because she's a savage now. All of a sudden, you got this guy who's been torn apart, like reaching up for his friend, and this guy's like, I don't want any part of that. Like, naturally, Krang doing nothing about it. You got Chrome Dome there. I used to have him like down on one of those like lower shelves there, but he's a big figure, and I wanted to kind of like get him in the mix a little bit. So, yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. The sewer switched up a little bit because I got those Haul-a-thon, what do you call it, like the Pizza Club turtles, and they're really, really nice. So I got them put in here with some supporting characters that I haven't actually had on display. Now the Punk Frogs are new. Well, they're not new. I've had them for a long time, but I just haven't had them on display really. But I got them coming in. The turtles are caught off guard. Raphael and Donatello ready to fight. Casey's like, what's going on with these guys? Who are they? And then, you know, Mikey's serving pizza. Leo's reading his book, the Three Musketeers book, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's funny because if you look at Genghis, he's got this disguise on, like the glasses with the mustache and the nose. And because it's this universe, these turtles have no idea who he is. They just think he's like some guy. But, you know, the other frogs are coming in. And we're even bringing pizza with us, even though it has that little alien on it. And that doesn't typically end well. But yeah, I like this display. I still really like this diorama. It's probably one of my favorite ones I've done for, you know, this purpose. Fits on this shelf nicely and just is it's versatile. It's cool. I like it. As we get down to the movie theater, there's like some things that have been kind of like taken out of the Technodrome and put down here, like the Rock Soldiers. You got Dragon Granitor kind of like making a deal with Shredder. This is actually a Shredder that I got in Des Moines. This was the one that came with like, I want to say it was like a box with like a t-shirt and there was some other stuff, probably like pins or whatever in that. And I didn't get it. It was like 50 bucks originally. And I didn't feel like I needed it, but then I saw this figure loose for about 20 bucks. I was like, all right, that I can do. Plus he has all of his extra hands and everything too, which is great. But yeah, he's making some kind of deal with the Rock Soldiers. And he got, you know, the cops taking care of business over here. These foot soldiers disguised as police, and for some reason people don't seem to notice that they're not really cops. I mean, this guy seems like he is onto them. But then you got Rex 1 who's fooled and just thinks everything is like going exactly the way it should. And Vernon's over here recording the whole thing. I don't know if he is, you know, getting the inside scoop or what, but he thinks he's got something. And over here we got the Punk Turtles. It's the Haul-a-thon box set that was from 2 or 3 months ago maybe. This set is still in Target every once in a while. I still come across it, but I like these guys. They're a lot of fun. They came with like alternate heads with like mohawks and stuff too, but I just like keeping like the sunglasses on them because I think that's what they kind of look like in the cartoon when they were like out in public and nobody was supposed to know they were turtles. So they've worn several disguises in the show, but like this is, I mean, look at them. They just look cool. And they fit in right here. They're all hanging out outside the movie theater and, you know, this whole scene is going down. Down here, not too much has changed in this little sewer display. I still got Splinter kind of like trying to teach Ralph and Leo a lesson about respecting each other by using each other's weapons, and Donnie's into his tech. I did put like the tech, whatever this thing is, the dimensional portal thing in there, and that's pretty cool. And then the only thing that really changed in here is I put the Casey Jones in the suit down into the news station. I know he didn't really work in the news station in the cartoon, but you know, he looks like he just might have applied for a job, and you know, Irma seems to be the only one who's like kind of concerned that this guy brought a bunch of weapons to work with him, but everybody else is just, you know, business as usual. So yeah, kind of cool. I like how these displays are looking. It's always fun to like switch figures in and out and just change up your scenarios every once in a while. This shelf has been pretty full for quite a while now, so I got enough dioramas to spare, so I don't know if I need to build anything more for the Toon universe, or if I can just keep making use of the ones I have, but I did get around to some other dioramas though, which is cool. So here's a little something I was working on up until pretty recently. So if you've been watching, friend of the channel, Thomas Goes Nostalgic, he was doing a diorama kind of like showcase where he basically wanted people to make dioramas that are inspired by like the vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like bed sheets. And if you're as old as I am, you had those sheets, or you had a friend who had those sheets. Like, they were all over the place. Everybody kind of remembers them. So basically this is what I came up with. Probably about 12 inches, basically a square with different compartments in it with the 4 signature colors of the 4 turtles. And it's all painted one kind of tan color. And then there's, you know, these brick kind of pattern things that are painted a lighter tan. So something I like about this idea, and you'll notice on the side too, like the bricks and stuff are, you know, on all sides of the thing too. That way, depending on how you want to orient it, you can basically put it however you want, really. And, you know, whichever color scheme you like, can just, boom, you can do it. One of the cool things I want to do with this is a technique that I did a long time ago when I built my Technodrome diorama. So all these bricks are, they're pieces of like that really thin foam that you can use. You can buy like the foam sheets for like $1 or whatever. I used a black sheet and I painted the entire thing and then cut out the brick shapes. So what's the difference basically? Like, why do that first and then cut out the shapes as opposed to cutting the shapes out first and then painting them? Well, if you use a black sheet, you'll notice, hopefully as long as the light works out, you'll notice that when you cut it, it leaves the black obviously on the inside that didn't get painted, meaning it's going to give you that kind of hard black outline effect. So it looks, you know, basically more animated, more cartoony, which I think works nicely for this. So yeah, that's what it looks like with the turtles in it. It's not a very big piece, obviously, so the only turtles I can really fit in there are the vintage ones, and these are technically re-releases of the vintage ones, but basically size-wise, these are identical to the old ones. This is actually a GameStop set that came out a couple of years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and it's getting a re-release. I think it's already been re-released and people are finding it, but yeah, these are what those turtles are. They're just reproductions of the originals. But there are slight differences in like their skin tones, particularly Donatello and Raphael. They have like a darker and a lighter skin tone respectively. Leo and Mikey both basically kind of look the same, but you know, that's just kind of what you get with these re-releases. But yeah, something cool about those bed sheets is like the turtle with, you know, something cool and interesting that I actually forgot about those bed sheets is that the corresponding color to the turtle's, like, you know, signature color isn't necessarily always the color that's behind the turtle. So like, you can put them in front, obviously, like if I wanted to put Michelangelo in front of the orange one and Donatello in front of the purple one and all that, I could. But I could also just do it like this, where they kind of have their own thing going on, and I don't know, I kind of like this. It pops and it gives a nice little Warholian tribute. What you know about some wacky deli? I actually still got some Haul-a-thon stuff that I didn't even open. Like I got the Foot Soldier, like the original colors, Foot Soldier from the Mirage line. Got Kirby, and then I also have the Baxter Stockman, the Mirage version, and the Foot, what is this, the Elite Guard. I don't have the big like Foot Enforcer in the Mirage colors. I might get one of those. I do have 2 of like the bluer color ones, the like the recolor ones. So I don't know if I necessarily need more, but I mean, these guys are army builders and I kind of like how they look all displayed together in the same color. So I don't know, we'll see. And then lastly, I still got the Kino and Foot Soldier movie 2-pack that I have to open. I never did get the San Diego Comic-Con Kino, like the regular one with the moped. Yeah, I missed out on that, sadly, so, you know, little bummed, but I did end up getting this version of Kino, so at least I got the character in my collection. And then this is like the little, and then this is the Foot Soldier that's like, and then this is the Foot Ninja that's like in like worse shape than the other ones, like they just made him like a little stockier. So at least he'll stand out amongst all of his peers there. But yeah, lots of stuff I gotta get through. We've covered a lot of ground here today. I'm proud of everything that we've been able to put together. This has been a good episode. A lot of fun. As always, my Patreon's in the link below. If you want to check it out, feel free. We're happy to have you. My Instagram's right here. There's always fun stuff on there, including some stop motion clips that go there before they sometimes hit the channel. So, you know, that's always good. As I say, I've got some stuff in the works. So, you know, stay tuned to the channel. I know I'm not frequently posting all the time, but like, you know, when I do, people seem to have fun with it. So let's keep that rolling, huh? Till the next time, my name is Captain McKay, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later on.